Welcome to the Entrepreneur Journey session. I'm Monica Duque. I'm the head for Central America and Mexico, and I'm very happy to be moderating this conversation. I'll introduce our speakers in just 1 second, but wanted to let everyone know that we'll be here for around an hour, but please do send us any questions you have for our speakers today via the chat or the Q&A in your left part of the screen. And this is one of, I think, the annual conference favorite sessions because we're able to hear directly from entrepreneurs from around the world. What's their experience? How are they engaging with the ecosystem? So I'm very pleased to be here today. So to start this session, I want to introduce Tahir Nisari. She's the managing director at Kazi Yetu. Tahir is a social entrepreneur and development worker in Tanzania. As an economist, her work is focused on inclusive growth, especially for women and smallholder farmers, through job creation and improving livelihoods. She is also a consultant for small businesses and a range of organizations, advising on business plans, project designs and management, and research. With 10 years of experience in working with small and medium agribusinesses and nonprofit organizations across East Africa and Central South Asia, Tahir has developed an acute expertise in gender mainstreaming and understanding of the challenges faced by small businesses, particularly in Tanzania. Thanks a lot, Tahir, for being here. And I'll just introduce Juan Pablo before moving forward to the questions. Juan Pablo Duque, he's the CEO for Equilibria. He's a goal-driven industrial engineer with more than 20 years of entrepreneurial and business experience. Prior to becoming a developed entrepreneur, Juan Pablo held a number of senior management roles where he strengthened his management and leadership skills. He has successfully brought to productive stage several endeavors in a wide area of economic activities from mining to agriculture. In Equilibria, he has materialized his commitments to the creation of economic value in a way that lives up to the most demanding social and environmental standards. Throughout his life journey, Juan Pablo has developed an exclusive business and public network in Europe, North America, and Latin America, on which he has relied on as catalyst for each project he has delivered. So, Juan Pablo, thanks a lot for being here with us today, and welcome to the ANDE Annual Conference. And to start this conversation, I want to ask you both if you can tell us a little bit more about your business, and especially how has been your founding story? Like, how has been your entrepreneur journey until now? So I'll start with Tahira and then move on to Juan Pablo.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you to ANDE for giving me this platform to share my journey. So I'm Tahira, co-founder of Kazi Yetu here in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Kazi Yetu is an agribusiness, and we are focused predominantly on creating local value addition to agricultural products, thus creating jobs, essentially. So Kazi Yetu in Swahili means our work, and really that's why we exist, is to create jobs, especially for women. In agriculture, women are often limited to the farm level in Tanzania, and not often going beyond there with access to market or access to really any other job in the value chain. And so what we're doing is we're trying to flip that and say, what opportunities do women have in value chains? So processing, blending, packaging. So that's one main area for us. And the other main area is that most products from Tanzania are actually exported in bulk, bringing really minimal economic gain back to Tanzania. And so what we're trying to do is actually create a range of final products that can be exported and be internationally competitive. So here we are 3.5 years later, and I have an all-women factory in Dar es Salaam. We're sourcing from 2,500 farmers across the country, and we have a Kazi Yetu in Germany as well, which is our distribution point for Europe. And our first product, before I forget to mention the main detail, our first product is tea. So we have tea blends, and it's actually green teas, black teas, herbs, and spices. And the reason we chose tea as our first product is because of the wide potential for impact. So green tea and black tea grow in mountainous areas. You know, most spices actually grow in coastal areas. Different herbs actually grow in different climates, and thereby you can actually create more social and environmental impact. So we're sourcing really from across the country. So yeah, my journey, I mean, just in a quick nutshell, I started off, as you mentioned, Monica, I started off as a development worker. I worked for a foundation and mostly focusing on agriculture projects. So my job was essentially to design projects and fundraise for them and implement them. And I loved it. It was definitely impactful, and really, I did feel that I was contributing to inclusive economic growth. But definitely I saw a large market opportunity, a large business opportunity, and actually an opportunity to create more sustainable impact through investing myself. And that's really when I decided to make that shift and start this business. I'm also a big tea lover, so it was definitely a fun jump for me to just travel around the country, visit different farms, and just literally taste from the farms and create a range of tea blends. So I'll stop there.
Great, thanks, Tahira. By the way, you can now connect Tahira to learn more about teas if you're interested in that as well. And Juan Pablo, please tell us a little bit more about Equilibria and what was your personal motivation to becoming an entrepreneur?
Okay, thank you. Hi, Monica. Hi, Tahira. And hi, everybody who is hearing our story. I think, well, Tahira was talking about that she had fun with tea. And I think we, as an entrepreneurs, we need to have like a lot of motivation, because most of the time I always talk about football because it's like an easy way to make yourself clear. Most of the time you are like losing the match. So if you don't have like the right motivation, you will like not be able to go to the other side of the river if you were swimming. So my motivation, or my motto in life, is harnessing creativity to transform lives. And here in Equilibria, we have our own purpose that is like a spin-off of that one, that is transforming lives with sustainable agriculture. So far, we have established almost 1,000 hectares of organic Persian lime. Well, we have 4 farms of 1,000 hectares, and we have established 450 hectares, which make us the largest lime crop in Colombia. We have only 6 years since we started, like structuring the project and raising the capital, because we didn't start with money, as almost all entrepreneurs. So like almost 4 years since we started, we have do this, and we have created like almost like 220 jobs, all bankerized, all formal. And this is all like something special in Colombia, because in Colombia only 20% of the people that has jobs in the rural areas are being hired in a formal way, and only 3% are bankerized. So we are part of that small percent that want to do the things in the right way. And talking about the sustainability that we are pursuing, that's our purpose, and it's what drives us. We also seek for land that has forests and that was used before in cattle. So of these 4 farms that we have, we don't buy the land, we lease the land for 20 years. And why 20 years? Because it's the life cycle of the lime tree. So for 20 years, those forests are going to be protected by ourselves. So I was talking about that we have 1,000 hectares, 450 are established in lime. 200 hectares are forests that are under conservation. When we arrived to this land, they were cattle before. So here we are tackling a global development goal that is climate action, because we are protecting these forests and all this ecosystem. but also we are taking out the emissions that are produced by the cattle industry, and we are putting trees. So we have there like a nice carbon, or like we are fixer, like capture, yeah, the CO2. So what we have here is like a model where you can get a better or maximize the use of the land in terms of our environmental, but also in terms of jobs, because in cattle here, each 50 hectares, you get one job. We, with the lime trees, with the lime crop, you are 14 times, you create 14 times more jobs than cattle. So we have environmental, we have in terms of jobs, and in terms of economic growth, because 14 jobs more, it moves a better economy in the municipality. So we found like an opportunity, or we didn't found, actually Colombia has like a lot of potential to do agriculture, but I think because it's difficult, we don't have like the projects. Actually, there is a study that was written by Michael Porter in 2008, where he said that in Colombia, we should prioritize our strategy in two industries, and agriculture is one of them. But I hope that there is more like Equilibria Agro in the country, in order that we could like pull this sector.
Thank you, Juan Pablo. And I know through your entrepreneur's journey, you have definitely lived the ecosystem fully, interacting with different types of stakeholders. So I want to ask you both, what's the most important thing that entrepreneurs need from the ecosystem around them in order to have a success in making impact? And if you can maybe narrate to us a little bit how has been this journey in maybe accessing incubation or acceleration programs, investing, etc. So Tahira, back to you.
So I would say, I mean, yeah, we basically need as many resources as possible to help us navigate this whole journey. But there are definitely a lot of resources available in the ecosystem, and we're really grateful, especially in, I would say, Juan Pablo, correct me if I'm wrong, I would say in Africa as well as Latin America, equally so. So one particular area that I want to highlight is actually technical and tailored support. For example, as a food entrepreneur, there's a lot of need around, product development, packaging, understanding the science of processing, etc. So, for example, in agriculture and food, in my industry, there are a lot of resources, supporting farmers on production, good agricultural practices, technical assistance, planting, harvesting, etc. But I would say for food entrepreneurs, there seems to be a gap on, product development, processing, packaging, branding, understanding your price points, accessing markets, and becoming competitive locally and internationally. And the better the product is, the more jobs we can create, the more we can actually source from farmers. And so what we've done as Kazi Yetu is we've actually started an incubator. So we actually support food entrepreneurs on these points. So product development, training on, what does your brand stand for? How do you want your product to compete on a shelf? And what we've done is we're trying to set a benchmark. And then we're trying to say, look, we've gotten into these markets, this is our journey that we had with our packaging process, sourcing packaging locally versus importing packaging from around the world. So our team in Tanzania for this incubator helps with that side, as well as, how can you improve your supply chain and expand your impact of smallholder farmers through your sourcing. And then our team in Germany is what helps with the market research, the feasibility. So if a food entrepreneur, for example, is doing pumpkin seeds or chia seeds, and they approach me and they say, okay, I want to sell chia seeds in Germany. The first thing we would say is, how, like, what do you want your product to look like? And have you looked at, your competitors, etc. So that I would say is one area in the ecosystem that I feel could have more support in.
Great, thanks. Juan Pablo, what about you? What do you think are some of the most important things that entrepreneurs need from the ecosystem?
Well, I always talk about like the 6 characteristics of that entrepreneur needs to have, right? And I talk already about passion, which is one, is like the horsepower we need in order to keep motivated. The other one is creativity, because we need like to have the ability to innovate and to disrupt and to. I'm struggling with this. I lost my eardrop, so I'm sorry. So creativity, the other one, because you need like to be recursive in order to like build something that is innovative enough in order to conquer the market. There is another one, which is network, right? So in the ecosystem, I believe, and the network, it's funds, friends, family, because that network will help you in one way or another one. So if you have not only the network, but I think more than the network is have like this network, like have won your trust. And that's something that you need to build like on a daily basis. Because if you have a strong network, and you need to build it as an entrepreneur, because you know like your friends of the school, then your friends of the college, but in the way you are going to be moving forward in one sector, in one company, or in any moment, you are going to start building your own network. That network for me has been like the most important thing, because if I need, for example, what Tahira was saying, and I believe, I think it's the same. For example, I want to do organic agriculture, and organic in the world, I don't know, has like 30 years, and here in Colombia is very new. So you don't have like the people that has like the skills or being to in order to control the weed, which is a nightmare to control the weed without these chemicals, and it costs a lot of money. But so I have to partner with the second largest university in Colombia, which is Universidad de Antioquia. And we are doing also some like projects with Wageningen University and Research, which is the most important university in the world, which is in the Netherlands in terms of agriculture. And I was able to do all these things because of a friend or a person who knew another guy, and like having this network, like or having like the network that trusts in you, they will be sharing with you opportunities, or they will open the door each time you need it, just to listen to you, what you are going to say. They will give you the space and the time to hear you. And if you have the ability to know who to talk, and you already like won his trust, then you are going to be able to achieve, if it's going to fund what you need, or you need like something with the government in terms of a permit or something, or you need technical assistance, so you go, or I know, the college or something. So I think for me, like in the ecosystem, like having a good network and build the network, because 4 or 5 people at the beginning of your life, and then you will be growing and growing, and that is the third pillar that I will say that an entrepreneur needs to have, and it's like having a build your network, and that the network trusts in you.
Thank you, Juan Pablo. And Tahira, I just wanted to go back to you. I think investment keeps being a hot topic among the ecosystem. So if you can tell us a little bit more about how was your investment readiness program experience, and how has that kind of helped you grow and put you in the place you're now?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, I went through the investment readiness program by ANDE here in Tanzania. They have a growth fund, and they have an accelerator program, and they also just provide a lot of TA and customized support for entrepreneurs, which is great. I found it really, really helpful. I think it's important to take a step back and revisit your business model, revisit your strategy. What is your long-term growth plan? And often entrepreneurs, we're stuck in the nitty gritty. We're stuck in the day-to-day activities and the fires that we're putting out constantly. And so that program was really helpful. It did result in a loan from ANDE for us. It's a $10,000 loan. Aside from that, we are still completely self-financed. And that's been a huge challenge for Kazi Yetu. I mean, we're 3.5 years in, and now is really where we're at the growth point, and it's really make or break. So I think the investment readiness program is now more important than ever for us.
Great. And moving into another question, and I'll start with Juan Pablo. You just mentioned to us, Juan Pablo, that you have several things that you consider key, and you mentioned passion, but also motivation. So please tell us what has been a critical point in which you needed the most help. Was it related to actually being motivated, or maybe it was another issue during your entrepreneurial journey? And kind of what was the situation, and how did you solve that? Did you receive help?
Okay, very important. Well, I think as entrepreneurs, you are struggling, as I mentioned, a lot of times. But I will share with you, I think entropia. How do you say, Monica, entropia in English? You don't know? Okay. So, like the disorder of things, it's like something entropy. Thank you, Rodrigo. So entropy is part of the life of an entrepreneur. So everything, it's if you don't manage it, it will disorder. So when you are a startup and you are going to a scale up or a bigger company, and also I'm trying to what we are building also here is like a growth hacking, because we started like a company that wants to establish a crop and export it. But as soon as you move on, you see that you don't only need just like people and the tree and the farm, but you also need like a professional team or information system or an ERP in order to manage your company, your accountability. So I will say that moving from startup to scale up or a bigger company, that was tough, and that throw us or like push us to first find a team that has a different skills. So, and that's like the ecosystem we have developed here in Equilibria Agro, which is not only just a crop who wants to export, but we have already like built a platform from nursery to the office in the Netherlands. So that critical situation push us to build like a better thing. So the first is like you need to have a senior team in terms of management. I have to find out like the right COO, which is a woman, and I think I like what Tahira is doing, that she tackles that global development goal, which is quality gender. I think quality gender. So in our case, in terms of the farms, women, they don't like much, or it's because it's tougher. So in terms of our farms, we have only 20% of the people are women, but in terms of the management is 57%. So the COO that we have, she has a lot of experience, 25 years of experience in terms of management, but it was tough to find someone. As I mentioned before, Colombia has a lot of potential in terms of agriculture, but it was difficult to find that people, people that has experience in terms of agriculture, large scale of agriculture, professional and sophisticated way of running our agriculture company, and that was tough. So it took time in order for me to set up that management team, and then to set up and with that team that I already have it, and I'm in love with my team. They are amazing. The CFO, the people that runs the farms. We have a lot of we love what we do. All of us are inspired and motivated with the purpose, which is transforming lives with sustainable agriculture. So that that management team, senior management team, helped like me to build that platform. So now we have a information system. So there is we have the farm, like the leader of the farm. In each farm, we have one leader. So he captured the information of the farm activities on a daily basis. So we know exactly what is happening on the farm. That information goes to the cloud, and then we can see it here in the in the office, but they also can see it there in dashboards that we have developed. We use Power BI, which is a Microsoft business intelligence tool, and we can see lot by lot, farm by farm, activity, farm activity by farm activity, what we have done in each lot, also by elements. So the trees need nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and other elements as well. We can know in terms of what is the nutrition facts, like the human, that the tree needs, and what is the execution we have been doing, and we need to correct, because when you have like a farm with 50 or 100 trees, well, you can run it with a notebook. But right now we have 130,000 trees, and we are going to have 700,000 trees. So having the tools and the technology to see what is happening in each lot, it is very important. The money. So when we receive the funds, we receive it in order to establish a farm. So how we structured this was, the Equilibria Agro is a company that runs each farm, and each farm is a new SPV. And the money that we receive, we put it in a new SPV. So in this case, we need like almost $2 million to develop 150 hectares. And what we do at the beginning is to consume that money. And as I was mentioned to Tahira, because we have a chat before this conversation, we has to burn this money and transform that capital into a biological asset, which are the trees. So we have to be aware in the money we are spending is accurate by lot, by activity. So we need to follow very keen that the consumption of that money. So the critical situation was to grow. So I think growing it hurts, and you will do it fine if you are surrounded by the right people.
Great. Thank you, Juan Pablo. I might come back to you with a follow-up question, but I want to listen as well to Tahira in knowing what has been a critical point in your journey.
I mean, I have to say a lot of what Juan Pablo is saying is completely resonates with me, and it's just so interesting to always see how many similarities we have across different continents. So definitely, human resources was, and it still is, a very difficult one for us. What I was going to say is, entrepreneurs don't have every skill. We don't actually, know how to do everything. I don't know how to do a lot of things. For example, I'm a food entrepreneur, but I'm not a food scientist. I was not, trained in microbiology, for example. I'm an economist, and I'm trying to promote gender equality. So, and agricultural growth. And so this it's quite a big skill gap. And it's also not very affordable for a startup to say, okay, well, I'll just, hire a consultant, or I'll just bring on a microbiologist. And so that was definitely a critical point. That has been a very critical point for us until today. Thankfully, now we are able to hire a full-time person. But until this point, we did receive support from the International Trade Center. And they actually assigned Kazi Yetu quality control champions and advisors to actually help us with our entire factory, and with the premises, with developing standards and internal procedures to be able to address that issue. And so, yeah, I think definitely there are resources available in the ecosystem, and it's just about making your needs heard and then finding the right support.
Great. Thanks a lot. And just, Juan Pablo, just to go back to you very quickly, but I was wondering, did you actually receive support from ecosystem actors in kind of bridging this this gap between being a startup and a scale up? Like in that transition, have you received support?
But when you say support about other people, like the network or public
Yeah,
institution or
private institutions, public institutions, investors, accelerator programs.
I have received, yes, definitely, and I'm so grateful because I think we have received a lot of help. And well, first, I have find on this journey like some mentors. I I'm 42 years old right now, and like 5 years away, oh, I didn't have a mentor, and I didn't find someone that said, "Oh, I would love to have a mentor." So because of this journey and because of the purpose, and I think if you find out like a purpose that inspire others, I like a lot Simon Sinek, who is a speaker, famous because of a TED talk that is called the Golden Circle. Um, um, I think if we found, and he wrote a book that is called Why, and if we found like the right why and the right purpose that that has the ability, that purpose to engage other people, people will help you no matter without asking something on exchange. So I have received from friends that I have, but friends that I have been with them like for 3-4 years, old and businessmen, as well as funds. Actually, the person who invited to me here, who is Julia, she works for Eco Enterprises Fund. She has been amazing because she didn't she not only believed in our purpose, in our business model, but she has been also like aspiring, you know, like for the tennis player that plays. So she has like been like a validator, or sometimes that I have like something that I don't know if I'm doing that the right way. I talk to her and she gives me a lot of nice advices. So find that right like fund or partner was also great. In terms of public sector, we have received help from ProColombia. ProColombia is an institution that helps like the trading between Colombia and other countries, and as well as the foreign investment. Also, actually, ProColombia is a public institution that introduced me to Julia, who is the person that runs Eco Enterprises Fund for Colombia and other countries here in the region. So I think I have received a lot, and I think in order that you have a purpose that motivates others, but also like have like a good communication, like an open communication with different people, help will come. Help will come in order, because they will show you where to move and how, like, call this guy, or why don't you try this, like keep. I think the entrepreneur has to do that, like communicate a lot what you are doing, and of course if there is any challenge, share it without any shy.
Yeah. Thanks, Juan Pablo. Just a comment for the audience. We're about to finish with our questions, but we really want to hear you as well. So please do send us some questions for the speakers via the chat. I'll be reading out some of them. So you can start typing now of some maybe doubts that you have about their journeys, something that has inspired you, etc. So Tahira, I wanted to go back to you and ask you, from your perspective, what role can a small and growing business play in propelling impact, maybe more specifically in your case, in job creation and gender equality?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really important question. And I think the first thing to recognize, and you can see it from Juan Pablo's face when he talks about his business, we entrepreneurs are eternally optimistic. Yeah, we are pushing the needle, and our entire business model is developed based on the assumption that the economy is growing, that we are moving towards, a brighter future, that we are moving towards industrialization, and that there will be more trade opportunities with the world. And so we are not trying to reinvent the wheel, and we're not trying to, just add a new bolt into a rotating machine. We're actually trying to transform industries. So Juan Pablo is taking Persian lime and going to Germany and Spain and Netherlands in next week, and planning to look for markets there. And we are trying to take a final product from Tanzania to Europe and beyond, rather than sending tea in bulk. And I think that's really thinking about what the future of our countries should look like. And I think that that's really how you create more job opportunities. So we're not just thinking about jobs at the farm level or jobs in a certain industry. It's rather thinking about what the future should look like in these countries. But so I think, to answer your question, I think that our role as FGBs, we are the income generators in that chain and in that market system. But it's not only up to us. I think it's also up to the larger community. I think it's up to the government. I think it's up to investors to recognize that and to adapt our thinking. We're not only counting farmers. We're also counting, skills, different income. What is the future of industrialization? How can we quantify that? How do you quantify redistributing economic growth back to Tanzania or back to Colombia? And it's a very complex, and I'm not an academic. So to all those academics out there, please help. But yeah, I'll stop there.
Thanks a lot, Tahira. And Juan Pablo, maybe in your case, what role do you think the small and growing businesses play in propelling kind of an impact in the environmental sector? And you also definitely work in job creation. So what's your perspective?
Well, I agree with a lot of things that Tahira just said, and optimism helps a lot here, and I think that's another of the 6 pillars that I believe that an entrepreneur needs to have. And I will. There is Simon Sinek has like a phrase that is, optimism is the ability to see the emptiness of half the glass, while choosing to focus on the fullness of the other half of the glass. So I read it because I love, and I didn't want to be mistaken about the quote, but I think what we as an entrepreneur has is that we are more agile, and that we are more I think in terms of the social entrepreneur network, we are more conscious about developing a business that has an impact in social environmental impact. So I think the disruption is what we put here, because creativity is very important in order for, not only for entrepreneurs, for any company, but we are like labs, like laboratories, that we think more like in the like longer term, while the traditional companies are more like focused on the present and like being more aware of the share price or in the cash flow. So we are more romantic. We are more like we want to change the world and we do better things and transform your lives and this. So we are like more passionate about, more conscious about doing things in a different way. That's the traditional. So we want to be disruptive. And that's what I think. And so in that way, I already mentioned, but in that way, we were forced to find like a way with small money, and we have an impact in job creation, in environmental awareness, and that's what we are pursuing.
Great. Thank you, Juan Pablo. I'll go over to some of the audience's questions. If we have time, I'll go back with one closing question for you. But reading out from Charlotte, she says, Juan Pablo, you mentioned the struggle between transitioning from a startup to a scale-up. What financial or non-financial support would be particularly useful to support the transition between those stages?
in our case, I think the scale is very important, because if we were like a, I don't know, 20 hectares or 50 hectares project, the volume or the income we will generate, it will not be able to pay like the salaries that a scale up or larger company needs. So I think it was a combination of build a story on a large scale agriculture and social environmental impact company, and with that story go to the investors, potential investors, share your story. And in our case, like being aware, we specialize on a niche that is on the niche of the social and environmental or the impact funds. So I think they are more conscious or where to invest, and that investment has like a, not only revenue in terms of economic, but also social and environmental profits. So first is like building a story. Second, like if you have like a large scale that allow you to pay a better, have a better team or a more skilled and senior team, it will help. And with that, well, try to find like there are like associations of funds. In our case, we come to ProColombia that has like received like the interest of funds in other parts of the world that want to invest in Colombia. So we approach them and with our story, and they introduce to several funds, and one of them, they believe in our story. And actually, we are still growing, because our goal is to have 2,000 hectares, and we are in 500, almost 500 hectares. So we are still looking for investment. Actually, we are looking for $15 million more. And that's why I'm going to Spain and Germany as well. Not only to sell the line, but I have to do two things: sell the line and also sell the project in order to get more investment to grow. Yeah, because we are like growing. And also very important, like if like have the capacity to share that you can manage this large scale thing, and that you have like the characteristics in order to have the company well in positive cash flow.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. That's definitely a call to action for all the investors in the conference. You can contact Juan Pablo directly. And well, we receive other questions. Coming back to Tahira, like I don't need to repeat maybe the hard time that we have all experienced in the past year. A world full of challenges, obviously the pandemic, but also racial injustice and economic downturns, etc. So what moments of hope can you tell us for the SGD sector? Like, how have you experienced this past year? And what are kind of these moments of light that you're seeing?
Mm-hmm. I would say, I mean, reflecting on the last year and even in general, how, you know, our situation in the world, I would say two main things. One is the world is becoming increasingly digitalized due to COVID, but also with the evolution of technology. More information is available around the world. There's more demand for information. There's more appetite and ways to digest information quicker. There's more data connection in rural areas around Tanzania, and I'm sure beyond. I think this gives a very strong opportunity for the traceability of products, the digital traceability of products. And I can see that the industries and the way that consumers are moving towards this transparency of a value chain. And so ideally, what we envision as Kazi Yetu is that a customer can actually scan, okay, so I have a product here. Oh, we don't have a QR code here. Okay, so this is one of our teas. We have a QR code at the bottom. So ideally, a customer would scan this QR code and trace the entire journey from the farmer to our factory to their cup, essentially, to their table. And I think that digital traceability is a really good way to spread awareness around the world about the social and environmental impact of the product and what you are consuming. So that's one, and I think that the pandemic has also made people very aware. And I think that was going to be one of Juan Pablo's points. I won't go into that. My second point is about the economic, no matter what situation the economy is in the world, food will always be in high demand. And in fact, the appetite for food, no pun intended, is growing. And so I think it's really an opportunity for developing countries with vast land and with vast agricultural opportunities for us to leverage this growing market. And I think that if food entrepreneurs can crack this, to take a food product and pack it and sell it around the world and have it internationally competitive, I think that's a huge opportunity. So I'll stop there with those 2 points.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. And I think the next question is definitely partially connected to this value chain development. And thank you, Malaki, for pasting that question here. Nicholas is asking us, it's tough to stay 100% ethical and be financially successful in business. How have you managed the ethical dilemmas that arise in dealing with suppliers, customers, government institutions? So maybe, Juan Pablo, if you want to comment first.
Well, very important. And I think that comes to your family and the value your parents have taught you before. And we are very strong on that one. We don't, for example, here in Colombia, only 20% of the people has been or are hired in a formal way. We pay, well, we pay it in the right way, but in here in Colombia, the rural areas, they pay everything in cash, and they and pay it without the social security, so no pension. So when they people on with no social insurance, so when the people have an accident, they don't get money, or when they get old, they don't get that wage that they could receive for the pension. So I think, and you know what? Maybe you will lose that much. In that moment, you have to like be seduced by the shortcut of not being ethical. But I believe in the universe. I believe in God. I believe that there is a strong energy when you do the right things. And maybe it's not scientific, but my experience is that it pays. It pays off. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but it will be stronger. So actually, and I love what you were saying about the traceability, Tahira, because something that we are also wanted to do is with the QR bar. And I think, and it's related with being ethical, because I think ethical is being transparent. So what we are trying to build here is like a transparent market between the consumers and the campesinos, which is like the little farmers. And the consumer has like a very important thing here, because the consumer makes the decision and pushes like the value chain one way or another one. So if the consumer is going to buy like a organic Persian line that is built in a sustainable way, which is growing in a sustainable way with all these romantic things, it's going to be expensive. But maybe conventional is not that organic and sustainable fruit is expensive, but conventional is not grown maybe in the right way. So the consumer, you need to seduce that consumer and to be more conscious about that we need as a planet to grow things like in a sustainable way. So if that consumer is going to push all the value chain in a more like in the right way to move, it will help us as growers to do it in the right way. And I will do it anyway, and I will die with that and hope it works.
Yeah, thanks, Juan Pablo. And Tahira, how has been your experience in dealing with these ethical dilemmas?
I have to completely agree with Juan Pablo, and it's every day a challenge. I think as a social entrepreneur, the fact that social impact, environmental impact, and financial impact are equal for us. We, you know, people like Juan Pablo and I, we don't make, you know, decisions that are going to harm or exclude farmers of, you know, in some shape or form. For example, I can give you a very concrete example, and it's something that we've been really struggling with lately. We're moving towards getting organic certified. So we're sourcing, as I mentioned, we're sourcing from 2,500 farmers. We know that they are following organic principles. We monitor them, and we know because they're under the Tanzania Organic Agriculture Movement. Not all of them are certified. If I now move my product to be certified, I will then exclude these farmers unless I pay for their certification. And that is piling on a lot, thousands and thousands of dollars, which as a startup we don't have. And so it's a very concrete perspective to say, look, do we want to grow and exclude these farmers and move more towards the certified farmers, which are, you know, belonging to larger companies? No. As Juan Pablo said, I would rather take the long way, support those farmers, get them certified. Let's grow together. Let's grow inclusively. And I agree. I believe in the long run that will then come with a higher return on investment financially as well. I think truly, I think that the way that the world is going and the way that we should be going is towards positive karma. So I agree. There are many other ethical decisions I can go on about, but another time.
Thanks a lot for that, Tahira. So maybe to start closing, as you know now, you have an audience full of a diversity of intermediary organizations ranging from incubators, technical assistance providers, investors, DFIs, academia, etc. So what would be a last, maybe closing message for all of the ANDE community from yourselves?
Tahira or me?
Go ahead, Juan Pablo.
Okay, well, I think, well, as a social entrepreneur, we want to have like a more like equality, like an equal world, yeah. And when we talked with Tahira earlier, and like we were like like figuring out like the answers, so we shared the answers of one of the questions. Mm-hmm. And I think what will be great to take here is consciousness about a more solidarity capitalism, which is an economic model that I believe we will get there, or I would like to see that we are going there, like in a more collaborative ecosystem or economy. That is what some of the trends you see here in different apps or businesses or business models. So we have also in our social program, we have one that each year we get together with our workers, and we ask them to write down a dream. In agriculture, where in our rural areas, people live more on a survive mode. They are more on a daily basis. So for they to dream is not something that is often. So we asked him, we were 30 on that moment. We do this exercise on a yearly basis, and we started 3 years ago. And after that, we asked them to vote for what will be, what they think what was the best coworker, because of the attitude, because of passion and everything. And we came into one person that he wanted to improve his house so his family is better. So I didn't have a budget to make houses, and I'm sharing this with you, Jan, now, telling you why. We didn't have a budget to build houses, but I have like a network that I told these people to our team that we were 30, and they were the people who were in the crops, like doing all the farm activities. I said, look, I don't have a budget. I'm an entrepreneur. We don't have much money, but what we can do is, let's see what Jairo is the name of this person, what he wants to do in his house. He lives on a 30 square meter house with his wife and 2 kids, very tough conditions. So I said, let's see what he needs to do. And I will ask my network if they can donate the materials. And if I can get the materials on Sundays that we don't work, we don't go to the farm, we will donate our time in order to put the bricks. And we did it, and we did a farm for hydro. So, but the message here is that I would like to build like this company and also like a better world where we can help each other with our actions. So the message at the end here is that it will be great if we could build like companies that at the end we could help each other, not with money, but the operation, the consequence of the operation is that you're having like helping each other. And we do this all on a yearly basis. And what we are also doing is not yet, but it's similar to what Tahira, or maybe she's already thought about it, but we're going to have the QR code bar on our lines, and the consumer is going to be able to see the dreams of our workers and be able to donate or time or money. If they want to come here and put some bricks into his house, I will help to have a huge, an amazing adventure here in Colombia. So we want to build like something that is built on collaboration or helping each other. So that will be like my message at the end of this presentation.
Thank you, Juan Pablo. We'll definitely think about taking the annual conference to Colombia and volunteering with you for some days. And Tahira, how about you? What's your message?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think it's about let's all, continue to collaborate, and I want to say thank you to everyone in this ecosystem who are providing resources and who are, thinking of new ways and different ways to support us. And I think let's constantly innovate. Let's constantly look at how we can disrupt the current way things are going and move towards a more positive future. And I think agribusinesses like ours are trying to do just that. So, Karibu, Tanzania, for collaboration.
Thanks a lot. I really want to thank and applaud both of you, these two eternal optimistic entrepreneurs. Thanks a lot for being with us here today and sharing your experiences, learnings, but also some challenges, and definitely hearing out how can we as an ecosystem work better to help entrepreneurs as yourselves in your growth path. So thanks, Tahira. Thanks, Juan Pablo, for being here with us. And I'm sure that you'll stay throughout the conference, so you feel free to connect with them throughout the chat, invite them to connect somehow. And thank you for being here. And I just have a closing message for what's coming up in the conference. Here. Yeah. So next in the conference, we'll actually have a 10-minute break. But after those 10 minutes, we'll have a showcase and an exposition. So please return here for the showcase, where we will hear from 4 amazing ANDE members. And then you'll get a chance to meet them at our expo, not just the 4 of them, but many other members. So go, please take a break, have something to eat, drink, depending on your time zone. And we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Thanks a lot.